Are we live?
We
Are
are.
we live? This is Steve Conte. Welcome to Game Changers with Vicki Abelson.
God, I didn't even tell you that. Oh, see.
This is Steve Conte.
Look.
Welcome to Game
My
Changers
God.
with Vicki Abelson.
Facebook just does. They double the sound. Wow, that's annoying.
That's crazy.
Okay,
Well, you have to mute Facebook, I guess.
Well, no, yeah, I did mute Facebook. This is crazy. Okay, so I don't know. Let's see.
We're still live, people, right?
We are still live, and a few people have found us. Hi, Tova. But I'm going to go look for people. I'm going to go get them. But before
and would you expect me to entertain the people while you go and?
I'm going to go out on the street and I'm going to start yanking people.
What am I, an entertainer or something?
Well, I'm looking at us on the screen and it's like we are we usually are, Steve, because for so many years we both had the spiky hair, the same basic cut.
Oh yeah. Well, so now it's serious COVID hair. I mean, look at this. There's not a layer in my hair anywhere. It's.
Is that true? Come on.
I'm like probably a month away from like total heavy metal hair.
Yeah. You know. No, you have not had one haircut in COVID?
No, not one. Well, no, that's not true. Last summer, we escaped New York and went to the Netherlands, and I got my hair cut right before I came back because I knew it was going to be about a year before I got it cut again. So I got my hair. My mother-in-law cuts my hair. She cut it August. It must have been August the 15th or something.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a haircut since August, September, November.
How did you go to the Netherlands in the middle of COVID?
Special. Don't you know?
Really? How did you go?
I'm Dutch, baby. I am Dutch.
I know that your wife is, but
I'm Dutch.
You are?
Yeah.
You got citizenship?
Yeah.
No shit. Wow. You look so Dutch. I can tell.
Ja. Ik kan Nederlands praten and I took the test and everything. So I'm European, baby.
Wow. But we have to talk about some COVID stuff because I don't know. I have these people that watch this show and they're called the COVID crazies. And I was going live 7 days a week during COVID at the beginning for many, many months, just because what else was I was sitting in my house. What else was I going to do?
Are you in LA? Like what part of LA are you in?
I'm where La Cañada is? I'm over in the foothills, Montrose. It's this little Mayberry kind of artsy-fartsy town.
I don't know it, but all I know is I was following Bill Maher with his solar panel problems.
Yeah.
Like California can't do anything. They can't even get solar panels. It took 6 or 8 months for him to like get his solar panels put in.
A friend of mine had their solar panels put in 6 months ago and they're still not operational, which is really crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that hurts. So, all right. So Steve, what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you croon us a tune. And I'm going to go get people because we're on Zoom, which wasn't the plan. Nothing else is working these days. So I'm going to go get people while you're singing. I'm going to leave you here all by yourself.
Oh boy, are you sure? Don't leave me alone while the cat's away. The mice will play.
I know. Well, you can just take over my show. You can
We're going to talk about Vicki when she goes. I got the dirt on this girl from New York City.
You've certainly known me long enough to have the dirt, that's for sure. Okay, so I'm gonna go get people now, and for everybody out there, Steve, what are you gonna sing for us?
Well, I'm gonna use this was an unplanned performance, so I only have my nylon string ready, which is in a slightly softer sound from a steel string, but it's kind of nice because the first guitar I ever wrote songs on was a nylon string. So.
Wait, this is your guitar from when you were like 11 years old?
Oh, no. I bought this when I was on tour with Willy DeVille, 2003. And no, but it feels like the first guitar I ever had. So this will be a slightly softer sound, but I'm going to do the B-side of my latest single, Rye Queen. And I hope I remember the words. I didn't know.
We have to talk about, because my father used to give me Rock and Rye when I was a little girl.
Was it for like tooth pain or something?
It was for throat pain.
But
it had that rock. It had that rock candy in the bottom.
Yeah, sugar in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's
Here's
so
Steve
wrong.
one.
Okay, here we go. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. You met her down at Walter's bar, a little sheep in a wolfskin cloak. In her eyes were faded stars. She could not hide behind her whiskey and coke. It's a mystery to me how they stayed so long in this town. Little sisters having twins, and they're just having one more round till they spend. Waking up tonight and tomorrow seems a lonely gray hours that lie in between. She staggers outside, a red-eyed king and his rockin' Rye Queen. Yeah, rockin' Rye Queen. Forgive the lyric mess-ups. Ooh. Staring at the faceless young from a perch in hide. Just soaking up the news if the TV is on. Waking up tonight and last night's scene. With unemployed hours and big dollar dreams. Stumble outside is one good I own is rockin' Rye Queen. Yeah, rockin' Rye Queen. Her Majesty, come around, closing time, they're holding on tight. Spin around, she's been down every day, all the time, Christmas Eve and New Year's night. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, ooh. And they're holding on tight. I'm breaking up the night, I'm pissed away the time. Stumble outside and I'm breaking up the night. Wasted all the time. Yeah, stumble outside. Red-eyed with it, rockin' Rye Queen. Yeah, rockin' Rye Queen. A stagger outside. Red-eyed with it, rockin' Rye Queen. Yeah, he's just a king with his casual crown. Sets them up and they're knocking them down. Rockin' Rye Queen.
Woo! Well, unrehearsed or not, that's all right. So why did you write this song? Why Rockin' Rye Queen?
I left out one line because I could not think of it. They waste away the time staring at the faceless young from a perch in hide.
Ooh, like it.
They're soaking up the news if the TV's on. Why did I write it? Well, I was reading a lot of Bukowski at the time.
Okay.
Who's like my favorite writer, and I had seen Barfly back in the mid '80s. It became one of my favorite movies, and then I bought all Bukowski's books. And I was also thinking about a bar that I used to hang out called Walt's Bar in Mattawan, Jersey, where I went to high school. And
Right.
so I was kind of thinking about Bukowski and his the characters from the Barfly movie, which was Faye Dunaway played Wanda, and
Jack.
Mickey Rourke played
Mickey Rourke,
Hank.
Right.
And so I was kind of thinking about those two sitting at the bar. But I was also thinking about the characters in Walt's Bar where I used to hang out. And, it's one of those songs that just kind of wrote itself, There's a lot of nice little imagery bits in there. Perch of Naugahyde, kind of like that.
Very cool. But like, was Rock and Rye like something that you,
No, Rock and Rye was, to me, it's like an old lady drink or an old man drink. Probably more like an old lady drink because,
yeah.
they probably mix it with soda. I don't know, but it always seemed disgusting to me. It was the type of thing where, I would paint houses when I was in high school and just after high school, and we'd paint the inside of somebody's house, and they'd go away for the day, and like as soon as they'd be out the door, where's the bar? We go look, and we'd open up their liquor cabinet, and like, oh, look at this crap! What is this? It's got like fruit in it and like rock candy. And we take a swig. Oh God, it's awful. But it's just sort of a play on Rock and Roll Queen, which is a
Yeah.
Mott the Hoople song.
Right.
Rock and Roll Queen, you know what I mean? I'm just a rock and roll star.
I love that
I was
song.
like, you can't write another song called Rock and Roll Queen, of course. So I just made it about a nasty liqueur.
I kind of love that. And that, as I said, my dad used to give us that nasty liqueur when we were kids, and we had, but it was really great when you're like 8 years old and you have a sore throat and you get to have some rye with rock candy in it. It's pretty cool.
I guess.
It didn't suck. All right. So before we get into like the Steve Conte story, how is COVID? Because the COVID crazies watch this show.
Now, what do you mean by the COVID crazy? Do you mean like anti-vaxxers? Do you mean like
Oh, fuck
people
no.
who think like metal is like you're gonna stick to walls now? There's like heavy metals
No,
in
the opposite of that. We were the first ones online to get our vaccines. We're
okay.
we're like all about no.
So
the
that's
opposite.
really sort of a misnomer then, the COVID crazies.
Well,
isn't it?
no, we were crazy.
You're more the COVID sane.
Yes, but we were a little over the top about spraying things and being overly.
Hello.
Okay, all right.
Guilty
So
as charged.
I want to know your COVID story. So when COVID hit, you travel a lot, you tour a lot, you go to Europe a lot, you go to the Netherlands a lot. What were you doing? What stopped for you? What were you supposed to be doing next?
Everything. I was in Finland on tour with Michael Monroe.
Oh,
We
wow.
had about 6 or 8 weeks worth of gigs.
Yeah.
I got there on Valentine's Day. I remember that because I had to leave my wife on Valentine's Day, as I've done many a year.
Oh.
Well, so I left on Valentine's Day, and we were supposed to go till end of March. And by March 7th, I played my last gig there. Then we had like a day off, and then we were supposed to do another club gig. Oh no, we did. We were supposed to do a gig on a boat. That's what it was. I'm like, I'm not getting on a boat, a floating petri dish.
Yeah.
And with a bunch of drunken, crazy Finns and who knows what else, Swedes and people are just, hey man, come here, let me shake your hand, and they want to hug you, and I'm like, So between that and hearing that 45 was about to close the border supposedly, which was not true, but also I am European and American, so I could have got in, but we just in an abundance of caution, as they say.
Right.
I told the guys, look, I got to get on the next flight home. And I believe I flew out March 11th, and the boat gig was March 12th. We had a couple of days off. Flew home.
Wait, before you go on, how was it on that flight? Did you wear a mask on that flight? Were you scared?
It was, well, this was, these were early days.
Right, early days.
I don't even know if I had a mask with me.
Probably not, yeah.
Because I guess by the time I left, I guess we were aware of COVID by Valentine's Day, but we had no idea what was about to happen.
Right.
So I don't remember going out and buying masks at a store there. So I'm thinking I probably didn't have a mask. But maybe I had hand cleaner. I don't know. So I paid like $2,000 for a flight that I couldn't get the money back from insurance or from the band or anything. Just paid it, I had to get home 3 flights, 3 airports, 3 countries. You know,
Wow.
it's Finland to the Netherlands to Atlanta to New York.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, knock wood, I didn't get sick.
Thank
You know, I tried to stay away. No, I did have a mask. I do remember being on the plane now, having a mask on the plane. I remember eating at an airport in Atlanta. No one had masks on. You know, no one was going hand cleaning crazy. And yeah, I got home to New York, you know, a day later, and my wife and I were sort of looking around what was happening, like the supermarkets where the shelves were emptying. You know, you couldn't find toilet paper. People were like hoarding stuff,
Right.
and we just started thinking, man, like, what happens if one of us gets sick? You know, what about the kids? Who's going to take care of our kids? And you know, her family they're in the Netherlands, and they're ready, willing, and able to help on all levels. So we're like, we should really be over there. So I just got home from Europe, and we turned right around and went back to Europe.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so now you took the kids out of school, but had school already stopped?
Well, they were on spring break, I think, but
Uh-huh.
you know, it was about to go remote anyway.
Right. Right.
So can I turn my AC on? Because I am sweating like a
Yeah, go
dog in here.
go do what you need to do. We haven't talked to anybody who's had young kids yet. And I've talked to a lot of people about their COVID stories. So I'm really curious how you did this.
My kids are 12 and 5. So, you know, they are.
So you had the whole schooling thing going on. Wow.
Yeah, we had the homeschool going on. Well, there was kind of a hybrid situation. Is the AC too loud?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So we had, I mean, this was the early days of everything, you know, the early days of Zoom. I mean, they were not prepared. Everybody got caught with their pants down. You know, all the schools, they didn't know they were going to have to go remote. I mean, teachers that are used to teaching in front of kids, you know, all of a sudden had to entertain 4-year-olds on a computer screen. You know, my kid was, every time we told him it was time to sit down at school, he would cry and run out of the room. He hated it, you know. So yeah,
well, now wait a minute, Steve, with the time difference between New York and the Netherlands, how was that working with school?
Well, they would, you know, 9 o'clock here is 3 in the afternoon. So we'd go out and do, you know, we didn't go anywhere in public. We either went to the backyard or, you know, to, there's a meadow nearby or a forest, you know, very naturey where we were. And yeah, that was it. We'd go out, we'd get some sun, we'd actually go to the beach. There was no mask mandate or anything. I mean,
what was the COVID situation there? Did they
in
have
Holland? No, in Holland they were sort of in denial for a long time, which is why they're kind of in trouble these days.
Oh, are they?
Hopefully they're on the mend right now. I think most of my in-laws have gotten both vaccines already, but yeah, they were kind of going for the Swedish, you know, herd immunity thing, and it didn't work out well. But while we were there, it was like the lowest cases in the Netherlands were where we were. It was like, you know, 5 people in the whole province, you know, had.
And that was really good thinking, to go where you'd have a backyard and nature.
Yeah, mainly it was, mainly to get, you know, care for the kids in case something happened to us, and you know, to be a little more, you know, safe and have a little more freedom, which we did, because, you know, here there was like mask mandates and you couldn't go out. One person had to go to the store. You know, you had to be, it was lockdown here in New York.
So were you going to the store so you were going to the store there?
I don't remember going to the store. I think I got home. I was home for like 3 days.
No, but I mean, when you got to the Netherlands, there you shopped and did all.
I think I went to a store once. You know, we got almost everything delivered.
Right.
You know, they have their version of Amazon. They have,
Right.
and her dad was going to the store all the time for his wife and the family anyway. So he would end up, you know, we were staying in their place, so he just picked up food for everybody.
Right.
And so I think I went to a supermarket once in the 6 months I was there. Basically lived there for 6 months. And we went out once to a bar and sat outside. A friend of ours owns a bar that I've played a bunch, and we that was our one social evening in the whole 6 months we were there. And
So
then we had to come back because they started school again, so we came back.
now, when they started school, though, they were still remote, right?
Yeah, it was remote for a bit, and then it just became a hybrid thing. You know, as soon as because my wife's a teacher at the school where my kids go to school.
Oh,
So as soon as they told her that she had to be in, then everybody had to go. So it was hybrid. Luckily, it's a great school. They really had their stuff together, the PPE and the ventilation systems, and everybody was broken down into little pods. So, you know, there was these 6 people in a class that had zero interaction with anyone else in the school.
wow.
You know? So if one kid in that pod got sick, the whole class stayed out. It was only 6 people and the teacher that stayed out. The rest of the school was not affected by it. So
Did that happen to your wife or to your kids
nope,
during COVID?
nope.
Wow, that's great.
Now we had a scare once. We had like a false positive, but other than that, you know, knock wood again. It was pretty flawless, I must say. We were very lucky, and we were prepared too. I mean, you know, we had bought an iPad for my little guy, and so, and by the second year, you know, by September of this past school year, as opposed to the spring when they got, you know, caught off guard,
Right.
they had the entire summer to work out how to teach on Zoom. You know, so the
Right.
kids were engaged, and everything was a lot better.
And your little one wasn't crying every time he had to get
No,
on.
no, you know, he's still, let's face it, kids, they love their iPads and their computers, but they love it for playing games and watching stuff. They don't
Right.
like it for school.
But like, what do they do with like a 5-year-old? What does school on an iPad look like for a 5-year-old?
It's, you know, they would have, you know, physical education. They'd have a gym class, you know, which is really hard in a Bronx apartment with a neighbor downstairs. You know, here's my little guy doing jumping jacks and like squat thrusts, like bang, bang on the floor. And then, you know, here's my neighbor up knocking on the door. Will please tell your son to stop banging? You know, apartment life.
Yeah.
You know.
And so how about for you, Steve? Were you able to do work? Were you creative during COVID?
Oh yeah.
What was it
Oh,
like
yeah.
for you?
It didn't really slow me down, except for, you know, the fact that I couldn't work really, and you know, I mean, I haven't not played a gig in a year since I've started playing, really.
Right.
I think,
Right.
you know, when I played my first gig at like age 11, I played at least 2, 3, 4, 5 gigs every year of my life.
Yeah.
You know, since then, it's a long time of, you know, that history. And this is the first time in 15 months I did not play a single gig. Although I got together with some friends of mine across the street in the park and like played acoustically, but it was just last week that I did my first gig with my brother John and Rich Pagano on drums. We played out in Brooklyn, and that was a blast. And you know, I couldn't think of anybody better to do with my brother and Rich, because we played together so much that, you know, we just did it was a kind of a cover gig. We did basically our childhood record collections. You know, we played The Who, you know, stuff we used to do at the Rock and Roll Cafe, basically.
Right. And this was an indoor club.
No, it was outside. It was outside.
Okay.
It was called Industry City. It's called Industry City. It's like in between these two like industrial spaces, and there's like sort of a I don't know, sort of an alleyway.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of space though. It's not like a narrow alleyway. And there's like, umbrellas, and there's a sandbox for kids, and it's kind of like a Chelsea Market, if you know what Chelsea Market
Yeah, I
is.
do.
Yeah, it's like indoor food court, but like really fancy, like exposed brick, and everything's artisanal, which means they can charge you twice as much for a piece of bread.
Right.
So and they brought barbecue outside so we played outside, and they had like a barbecue tent, hometown barbecues, and they
Nice.
had this place, and it was really nice. And they limited it to whatever 50 people, and I guess they charge more for the tickets, and people are starved to go out and see music, so people gladly paid.
I
And
bet they are. And so I bet it felt great to do it. It must have
oh, it
been
was amazing. Yeah.
And so where are you now? I mean, I know things in New York, the numbers are pretty good, and they've taken away the mask mandate, and they've opened everything up 100%. Where are you guys at? Are you going into restaurants? Are you, what do you?
Not indoors. I mean, today I came from a video shoot today. I shot with a song for my new album. I shot with the crew were all fully vaccinated, and I didn't even ask the woman who was taking care of the theater. We shot in a theater, but I'm fully vaccinated, so I just didn't get too close, and I'm
Okay,
not.
so being fully vaxxed, do you feel comfortable that you're not going to get sick?
I'm still not taking many chances, if that's what you're getting at. I mean, I'm not.
You're one of
I'm
us.
not, I'm not doing indoor dining. I'm not doing indoor gigs.
Are you
I
going
don't know.
to?
I don't know how this is all going to shake out with the vaccination passes and whatnot, and it's all political and whatever. So we had gigs booked. I had gigs booked with Monroe last summer that were rescheduled for this summer, which was then blown off till next summer. I mean,
Oh,
we had stadium shows with Guns N' Roses. We had
wow.
many headline shows in England and Germany and festivals and France, and so those are all blown out till next year.
What's the soonest thing you have booked? What's the soonest gig you've got?
Nothing is even definite yet, but the talk is that we're booking Finland, Monroe's home, Michael Monroe's home country, of course, in November and December, but we have yet to see the dates. So they're working on them, but nothing definite yet. But I was going to tell you, in the whole time of COVID, besides not working and not playing with other people, it didn't slow me down a bit. Creatively, I wrote many songs, recorded many demos, practiced a lot, and recently I've had to start practicing standing up, because you can it's real easy to play that sitting down with a guitar up here, but then when you stand up and the guitar goes down here, so you got to practice with your strap on.
That's a really good point that I hadn't considered. That makes, and not only that, somebody told me that they did their first gig and the guitar was so heavy because they were standing for the first time that he got like a backache from holding his electric guitar for an hour, whatever.
Well, that should happen to me, because I got really sore neck and shoulders, and I play a Les Paul. But I don't know. I haven't picked up my Les Paul lately. I've been playing this Zamitis guitar, which is beautiful.
What is that?
It's can I get up and show it to you? Can I walk away from the camera for a minute?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Okay, I might have to. Cable out.
Let's see your groovy guitar. Show and tell. We like show and tell.
I'm gonna turn on the light too because it's very dark here in my studio. This is my studio, the house of Ziggy. My dog Ziggy. You might have seen.
I do remember your dog Ziggy, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, thank you. Well, seems like my other lamp is not working over here. So we're gonna have to suffer with my poor lighting.
I see a picture of Ziggy on the wall behind you.
Yeah, that's the house of Ziggy. That's my mascot. All right, screw it. The light's not gonna work. Anyway. Here's my
wow. Oh, wow. Holy Moses. Wow, that's gorgeous. Wow. Is it silver? It looks silver.
It's some sort of metal face, you know, but it's wood.
It's beautiful.
It's good wood.
Beautiful.
But it's kind of a Les Paul. Ronnie Wood used to use these, probably still does. James Honeyman Scott from the Pretenders. Beautiful. So I've been using this. This I have at home. I have some guitars here at home. I have some guitars in my studio in Manhattan. But what ends up happening is I kind of use whatever guitar has 6 strings on it.
So you played, obviously you played electric the other night when you did the gig.
That guitar like goes into the bad pile for a while till I get off my ass and change a string on it.
So you obviously played electric guitar at the gig that you did at the other day.
Yes, I played that. I played that guitar.
How was it standing up and playing for that?
It was fine. It was fine. It was great.
Okay. Okay. So have you done any exercise during COVID? Have you?
I was doing abs. I was doing cardio. I was doing bike, stationary bike. And I was also doing a lot of physical therapy because I got messed up shoulders. And so I was doing all that. And then I don't know if something happened last week and I just fell off my routine. So I haven't worked out in about a week and a half. So I really got to get back to it.
But you were doing it all during COVID?
Not all during COVID, but you know, I went up and down. I got the COVID 20 or 15.
Oh yeah.
Probably. You know, I'm probably down to the COVID 10 now. So I still got
do I? Yep, I'm on.
I still got about 10 to lose.
So what was the eating like during COVID? So did you guys cook a lot more than usual?
Oh hell yeah. Well, cook and order delivery, you know.
Right.
But I think we ate in one restaurant on my birthday. We ate at a great place, an outdoor place up in Dobbs Ferry. And other than that, I think, yeah, we ate at a taco place once in Manhattan outdoors. So I think we've had like 3 meals in restaurants in the past year, and that all outside.
Yes. Yep.
So,
and how did you guys fare being in an apartment, basically being inside, all 4 of you? Was it?
You're looking for dirt.
I'm not, because I'm using you as a shining example of how you can make it work.
Wait, I got one thing to say. Choice B. Do you know that video?
No.
Okay. There's this video on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
There's an African American guy.
Yeah.
And there's a voice you hear off camera going, due to the COVID virus, you are confined to your home. Now, would you rather be confined with your wife and child, choice A, and before he can even get choice B out, the guy goes, choice B, definitely choice B.
Do you see that? I do know the video you're talking about. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, so I am the opposite of that guy. I'm sure that there are a lot of marriages that broke up, a lot of relationships that broke up, a lot of fights, and you know, I mean, it was just life as usual, you know. I mean, of course, you have your disagreements, you have your arguments, but it was like the fact that we were like 24/7 like this just made me know that I made the right choice. I made
That's
the
so
right choice to be with this woman for my wife, these kids. Not that I had a choice of what kids are. I just got lucky that I had two wonderful boys, smart.
and your boys are good together.
Yeah, well, you know,
They're
they're 6
brothers,
years apart, so there's a little bit of like, get out of my room, leave my toys alone, you know.
right?
But basically, you know, it's an ideal situation.
But it was it
I feel very
it had to
lucky.
be hard for them. I mean, they didn't get to play with their friends, I assume. They weren't playing with.
We, you know, we worked it out where we had, you know, my son had a birthday party. We did a Zoom birthday party with. He's really into anime, so we had like an anime artist who does some of these Netflix shows.
Sweet.
She came on and did like an like a manga drawing lesson for the kids, and it was like, you know, 12 kids on Zoom, you know, in the Brady Bunch boxes, you know,
Right.
and then you could break out and you could go into another Zoom room where they're playing Minecraft or Roblox or whatever they play, the kids these days. And yeah, so he got to hang out with kids like that when that's all he could do. But he's also had play dates out in the park, you know, masked when we had to be masked. And now, you know, we're just running around outside with no masks on, you know, except my little guy, my 12-year-old is vaccinated, fully vaccinated, but my 5-year-old is not. So he still has to wear a mask, and we still have to like sort of make sure he keeps his distance.
Right, right. When the vaccine becomes available to the little ones, which they're predicting will happen by the end of the year, will you get them vaccinated? I assume you will.
Certainly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my wife is a scientist. This is the thing. All these people that are out there with all the theories about heavy metals, and I mean, when I bring this stuff up to my wife, she laughs. I mean, she's like, you know, look at where we live. We breathe New York City air.
No
When you
shit.
eat a pepper, do you think you're not getting GMOs? You know, I mean, these people are picking and choosing what they want to be upset about. You know,
Right.
they breathe the air, they eat, you know, genetically modified food, they, you know, whatever else there's heavy metals in food already, you know,
Right.
and the levels of heavy metals in this vaccine are like minuscule, not
Right.
enough to do anything. But you know, people just they get one little talking point, and then you know the anti-vax whatever crowd or that side of things, you know, blows it up, and Tucker Carlson talks about it, you know, all these nutcases, and then you get, you know, your QAnon type people that just run with it and make up all kinds of crazy stuff. So, but you know, I believe in science. My wife believes in science. She's a scientist. She's a chemist. She works in the lab. She teaches chemistry. You know, she knows about this stuff. So when I see, you know, friends of mine and musicians actually that, you know, are pretty smart people talking about some of this stuff, I go, God,
It's shocking.
if only everyone were more informed, you know, about the realities, you know, rather than government is after you.
Yeah.
You know, they're planting tracking devices in you, and Bill
I have friends
Gates,
that
and you
think
know,
that.
I mean, you know, God, this has been going on for years. I mean, people have been sending me, "Oh, Bill Gates is going to plant tracking devices in your body." Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you believe what you want to believe.
so I think life's pretty damn good for us these days. I'm a big Biden fan, and he's way exceeded my expectations
Oh yeah.
extremely. I'm very happy.
I mean, just on Putin alone the other day, you know,
Yeah.
he didn't betray the country. Oh, well, isn't that what you're
Amazing.
supposed to do? Supposed to
So
not
I
do?
saw that your son, I watched a video. Your son sang on.
Oh yeah, you saw the Brooklyn gig.
I
That was
no
from
was
that
that
gig.
no was it?
Yeah,
Oh
that
man,
was from that. That was from the Brooklyn gig that I played last week.
this look older than that. This looked like a year ago. No, he didn't sing with you before at a club.
Oh yeah, yeah. He sang with me before. I mean, if he sang Recovery Doll, that was last week.
Okay, I don't remember what I saw him do. I just knew he was sharing a mic
My brother.
with John.
Yeah, that was last week.
Okay, I did see that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did that happen when did he start singing with you?
Oh God. He's been writing songs, melodies, and lyrics, and since he was 4.
Wow.
I mean, they were like cute and creative when he was 4, and I was like, I
Right.
would constantly pick up my phone and go ahead, sing that in here, and what was that? And he'd sing it into my phone. I have a playlist a mile long of his early ideas. And then when he was about 7, he wrote his first like totally intelligible like song idea that I helped him finish, and we recorded his first demo when he was 7.
Wow.
And then yeah, he's been, he's 12 now, so it's been like 5 years he's been writing. We've been recording demos, and sooner or later we're gonna have an album's worth of material. And
Wow. Does he play?
he doesn't really play. I'm trying to get him to at least play enough guitar or enough piano to at least write songs. I'm so dark here, Vicky. I'm sorry. It's
That's
just
all right.
awful. I wish I had better lighting. Let's see. Maybe I can.
I'm washed out enough for both of us.
Yeah, you are a little
I'm
white
like
there.
I'm like too white. I always look like I have gray hair. This is really great. Okay, so
Oh, that's
oh,
terrible.
okay, that's really weird. Yeah. Oh, that's better. That's good.
I look green.
You do look a little green. It's not easy to be
Oh
green.
no.
So, all right. So speaking of your son starting, I know the story, but most of these people were not watching the show when you were on last time. By the way, don't go by Facebook numbers. That's a whole weird story, but this will be on 16 platforms and it'll be all over the place and
Okay.
people will eventually see it. All right. So you started, I believe that you were a drummer first. Is that true?
I was a drummer first, yes. When I
And,
was 7, I was a drummer,
and
and
why did you start playing drums?
Ringo,
Yeah, of course.
Revolver.
Yeah. And John was the guitar player. Your brother was the
Yeah,
guitar.
John was a guitar player. I was the drummer. And when I turned 11, he had been taking guitar lessons for a couple of years.
Mhm.
And I picked up his guitar one day, and it was a nylon string just like this. And I started going like, I didn't know how to play. I didn't know you were supposed to have a pick. I just used my fingernail, and I went. That was the first song I ever wrote. Just exactly like that. It played with my fingernail, and I had lyrics, I had melodies and everything, and I was like, wow, okay, I can write songs. I better not get stuck behind those drums then. I should be up at the front of the stage. So I went and I
Okay, so
started.
when you were drumming, Steve, did you not sing when you were back there?
Yeah, I sang when I drummed, but it was always hard, because you had that boom stand and you had to just get it just right. And, you'd hit it with your drumstick. And, when you're 10, it's like you're not that coordinated. But besides that, I knew that I had to be up front and, sing lead. I think I couldn't think of another drummer that sang from behind the drums full time in the band. I mean, Ringo sang his 1 or 2 songs with the
Well,
Beatles.
Phil Collins sang back
Yeah,
then.
well, this is way before Phil Collins, though.
Right.
This is like,
The 60s. So
yeah, early 70s. So
how did you know you could sit? You didn't take voice lessons from what I
no, I just it was just natural. My mom's a jazz singer.
Yes.
I grew up hearing her sing from the womb. I mean, she was singing while I was inside in her womb. Singing Billie Holiday tunes, and then when we got old enough to start playing, she groomed my brother and I to play with her, to play all those great old standards, Ella Fitzgerald and Billy.
Were you guys doing clubs with your mother
Oh yeah.
when you were kids?
Yeah, well, clubs was you had to be at least 18, so that came later. But we did a lot of private parties, church concerts, all that kind of stuff. Library concerts,
So did John, and now I know John sang backup all the years did John ever sing front and center?
He was never as gregarious about it as I was. I was just like, well, somebody's got. I just always sang by default. It was just like, all right, well, nobody wants to sing, so I'll sing, and that worked pretty well for me. I mean, I never took a voice lesson. I had good pitch, I had good feel, and by the time I got into high school, I realized, I got into a band, and we wanted to do All Right Now by Free, Paul Rogers.
Yeah.
And the other singer was not really convincing doing it. And I was like, I'll try it. And I realized, oh man, I can kind of do Paul Rogers,
You can do Paul Rogers,
Yeah.
You can do Rod Stewart. I mean,
I know.
For what everybody's and this is not blowing smoke, and I've said it all the years that I've known you. You're in the top 3 voices of my rock and roll voice loving of all time. You're the rockinest singer, and they're asking right now if we can hear another tune. Can you play Recovery Doll, your latest coolest song in the world on Little Steven's Underground Garage? And did his label put out your record?
Yes, this is on Wicked Cool Records, Steven's label. Yeah, I'll I gotta warn you folks, I did not prepare this song.
We'll take it as it comes.
So let's see. And I won't be really doing a whole lot of Paul Rogers on this, but anyway, so to finish my story, nobody wanted to sing that stuff, so I sang it and I was like, oh, okay, so I can do that. And then I started doing the Rod Stewart stuff, and in the 80s I was singing like Bryan Adams anything with like a raunchy sort of blues, blues rock voice. And it only got to be a problem when we were trying to pull off like Zeppelin or Kansas or something where the guys were singing way high, really high. Then it was like, okay, I just want to lay back and play, and let's get another singer, which we could never really find. It was always a problem finding a singer. So I just became a singer out of default, and became really comfortable for me, and I could always play and sing at the same time without thinking about it. Some guys are like, how do you play and sing? And I just always did both at the same time, so it's never an issue.
And you do them very, very well. All right, here we go.
Right, let's try. You had it made, girl, you had it all. You gotta kick chemicals and alcohol. It's your recovery doll. It's your recovery doll. Well, everything changed when you came along. Every little word in every song, you were always right and the world was wrong. Boom, bap, shabap, boom, bap, shabap. Oh, boom, bap, shabap, boom, bap, shabap. Oh. You look sharp, but your pain is dull. I can't fix you up at the hospital. It's your recovery doll. It's your recovery doll. Now everything changed when you came along. You every little word in every song. You were always right, but the world was wrong. Woo-hoo. Bap, shabap, bap, shabap. Oh, here's the bridge. Well, that last time all you need is cash. Come back to your position just before the crash. Your recovery doll. It's your recovery doll. Well, everything changed when you came along. In every little word in every song, you were always right, but the world was wrong. Woo! Ain't gonna go no. Ooh. Oh yeah, yeah. Bop. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Bop. Oh.
Oh, Steve, what a great song. Okay, is there a story behind that song?
Well, yeah. So that's a song, the music I had laying around for years because I presented that to New York Dolls. I presented it to Michael Monroe, and both bands passed on it. But it wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't called Recovery Doll when I presented it to the Dolls.
Okay.
But it was when I presented it to Michael. But I didn't have the Mbop Shabop. And it was probably a little poppy or whatever for them. So whatever, fine. That happens all the time where I present songs and people I'm working with hear it in a different way than I hear it, that I know it can be. And I ended up recording it for myself. And, you know, then they get played all over Little Steven's Underground Garage. They turn into the coolest songs in the world. I get paid for them and all is well. So great. Just keep on rejecting my tunes, folks.
Because like 4 of your songs have been the cool that I know of. The DJ song.
Okay, DJ. Somebody gonna get their head kicked in.
And Rockaway, Gimme Rockaway.
Gimme Rockaway. This one.
This one. So, and they've been the coolest song in the world for, you know, the week. But then I think 3 of them have, and this one I'm sure will as well, gone on to compete for the coolest song in the world for the year. And DJ was number 2 behind Springsteen. Right. Another one, Gimme Rockaway, I think was number 5 or something behind the Monkees, and just crazy shit.
Yeah, I don't remember, but yeah, they've all been up there.
And so has anybody registered, wow, I fucked up that I didn't take that song? Has anybody ever said that to you?
Probably not, you know, and you know, if they did, I'm sure they wouldn't say it out loud anyway.
Yeah.
But I have, never mind. I have heard things, but I'm not gonna say it. But you know, that's the way it is. When you have a songwriter in your band and he puts out his own albums, you know, it's gonna happen. You're gonna, you know, you might, the songs I present for either one of those bands are songs I wouldn't necessarily do myself sometimes. Like I write with that in mind, like, okay, I'm writing a song for the Dolls. It's gotta be, it can't be what I would do for myself necessarily.
Right.
So I try and get into that head, or with Michael, I try and write things that I think Michael is going to sing, or that he's going to like, or that he sound good singing.
Right.
And sometimes they miss the mark. Sometimes like my Ballad of the Lower East Side, which is his most played song ever on Spotify in his whole career. Yeah.
Can you give us a taste?
You know it?
I don't.
Really?
I don't, maybe I do, and I just don't know that I know it. Probably is
Things are different today. Back in New York, I lived down 3rd Street way back in the day. There were junkies, pimps, and whores. Hallelujah. Now it's squeaky clean, there's no place left to play. Never heard that?
It does sound familiar. I probably have. I don't know. I'm
And then it
60.
goes, and then it goes fast. Then it
Oh.
goes punk. Then it goes. Yeah. So, but you know, I wrote that for him.
Right.
But you know, it's about my experience of New York. But he did live in New York for a while, so of course people think that he wrote it because he lived in New York.
That's
But
right.
then I did my job. I made people think that he wrote it, but so that's kind of the way it goes, you know. And then sometimes, you know, then I put out an album and they go, not necessarily Michael, but you know, how come he didn't give that song to us? He kept that for himself, you know. I've heard other people say things like that, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, there's certain songs you write and you go, you know, I'm writing a bunch of songs for this band, but this one I'm going to take out of the pile and put it here for myself because this is just, it's too me. You know, it just
Yes.
feels like something I should do.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a theory, oh, you should always give your best songs to the people you're writing for. And okay, I agree with that to a certain degree, but then also, if I feel like the song is just really so me, you know, like lyrically or so New York. Like I have a bunch of songs I presented for Michael. We're working on songs for a new album. And I have songs about America. I have songs about racial justice. And like I really want to present them to him. The music is stuff that he would totally get into, but the
Right.
lyrics are not something that a Finn is going to sing, you know. Even though he lived in New York, it's just, you know, it's my take on what's
Right.
happening in America right now. So as good as they are, I don't think they're going to fly with him because, you know, he's going to hear it and go, yeah, it's cool, but you know, what am I going to do with that lyric? You know, so
Can you tweak the lyric to be right
I
for him?
could, I could, and I actually thought about it um, because you know, he also spent time in London. He spent, you know, he lived in London for a while, Finland, of course, New York. So, you know, the guy's been around, but currently he is in, you know, he's like the star of Finland. So it's kind of hard to, I mean, we've done songs about Tokyo, we've done songs about London, we've done songs about New York, but it's more reminiscing about things that happened in the past, right?
Right.
If we're going to talk about current events in New
Yeah.
York or in the US, it's kind of rough to
Well, that
expect.
sounds like it's a song for you, period. I mean, it just sounds like it makes sense that it's a song for you, no?
Yeah, well, I did present them, and you know, we're still waiting to hear. But my sense is, you know, it's not gonna, um, you know, if there's a bunch of other things that are more vague that you know he could hang his hat on, so to speak, and feel comfortable singing, because it's not a you know singing an I song, especially when it's an I song like I you know, believe this or I think this, and then it's about where
Right.
this guy lives, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not that guy.
Right.
So yeah, I could tweak things and you know, if people like the lyrics enough and they're forthcoming with critiques instead of just nah, I don't like it, you know, like yeah, I really like the music, man. Just you know, it's too New York centric or America, you know, American for me, then I would gladly, you know, change it.
Yeah.
But you know, I have to hear those reports first, you know.
So, okay, so let's go back. So you're playing, you're a drummer, you become the guitar player, you become the front man. You and your brother start playing, start doing bands. And how do you guys break out? I know the answer to this, but how did you break out from doing, high school bands to becoming a professional musician?
Well, I had to get out of high school first.
Yes, you did.
um, and college. Um, and moved to New York. So Unlike a lot of guys that just got out of high school and went straight into the city, I got offered a scholarship for Rutgers, and they had a great music program.
Mhm.
And I was just starting to get really serious about music and guitar, like around this time. And in fact, I was kind of going down a bad path with certain substances, and I woke up on a lawn of a college one morning in the blazing sun with my nose pouring blood, and I was like, where am I? Who am I? I'm on the
Oh,
lawn of a college. This must be a sign. You know, the next day I enrolled at school there, and I enrolled in. I started taking lessons with this great jazz guitar player who was my mom's accompanist. This guy
wow.
Harry Leahy was a Jersey, New Jersey giant in jazz. He played with Phil Woods, great sax player, and so I started studying, and then I got a scholarship to go to Rutgers, and I was like, well, who am I to turn this down? Free education. So I
Yeah.
went, and so I got to New York a little bit later than I was probably in my mid-20s by the time I got to New York
Mhm.
instead of early 20s.
And so
Um,
how did it break for you?
um, you know, 10-year overnight success.
No, okay, when I met you, you had already played with Blood, Sweat, and Tears. How did that happen?
Yeah, that was like my first calling card when I got to the city. It's like, hey, I played with Blizzard and Tears. Like, what? You with the gigantic hair and the silver boots?
It's
You
true.
know?
That is kind of
Yeah, yeah. In fact, David Clayton Thomas, the singer of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, used to say, Steve Conte doesn't want to be in this band. Just look at him. Look at him with his heavy metal boots and his, you know, giant hair, and I had like a red guitar with a whammy bar. Um,
How
but
did you get into
uh,
how did you get into Blood, Sweat, and Tears?
because my brother was in there first. Somebody that my brother had gone to school with got the gig. Sorry, you're not boring me. I'm just there's never quite enough sleep with a 5-year-old. Um, Somebody in my brother's circle had gotten the gig, and then they just, people just pull their friends in. They're like,
Right.
okay, I think the drummer got the gig first, and then David Clayton Thomas said, oh, we need a keyboard player. Oh, I know somebody. Need a bass player. Oh, I know somebody, and they would just pull their friends in. And
Uh-huh.
there was the Gellis brothers, Dave
I
and
was
Jeff
gonna say,
Gellis.
was this before the Gellises were in or after the
Yeah,
Gellises?
so it was the Gellis brothers were in first, guitar and bass, just like the Conte
Mhm.
brothers, right?
Okay.
And so Jeff Gellis, the bass player, left. My brother came in, and Dave was still playing guitar. And then Dave left at some point, and so John called me. And he was like, Dave can't make this gig, and in fact, I think he's leaving the band. Do you want to do this? So I was like, okay, when's the audition? When's the rehearsals? They're like, no audition, no rehearsals. Uh, we'll send you a tape and get on the plane and come to Miami. And that was my first gig. Like all these 13-minute extended like jazz jams and all this crazy stuff. I mean, it's a good thing I went to school and learned, by ear how to figure stuff out. I mean, I'm still not a great.
Were you reading chart? You weren't reading
No,
chart?
there was no charts. I had to
No
write my
charts.
own charts. I listened to
Wow.
cassette tapes on a Walkman on the plane and like made my own charts on the plane. Got to the gig, we did a sound check, and that was my rehearsal. It was like,
Wow.
they said, what do you want to play? I was like, okay, well, this one's a little hard. Let's play this one. And, there was some that I knew from my childhood, like You Made Me So Very Happy and Spinning
Right.
Wheel. But some of the other ones I didn't know. So we played them on the sound check as my rehearsal. And then I ended up staying in the band for a year or two. And that was it. Trial by fire. You know?
Wow. Okay, so you leave Blood,
and,
Sweat.
and yeah, and then so I came to New York, and this was the '80s, so like here I am playing with a '60s band, of and it's all young guys except for the original lead singer.
Right.
So it was a little bit of an odd gig to walk around going, "Hey, hire me. I'm the guitar player of Blizzard, dude." But you know, it was a name. It was my first road gig. You know,
Yeah.
I'm thankful for that. I got great experiences. I learned what not to do. I learned what to do. I learned, you know, I messed up. I, you know, did good and bad, and learned as everyone does on their first gig. You know,
Right.
and you know, from there, I think my next gig was with. I auditioned. I got a call from. Oh, I remember I was playing with Dan Hartman and Charlie Midnight. You know who those guys are?
I don't
They
think so.
they wrote "Living in America" for James Brown
Uh-huh.
and produced it.
Uh-huh.
And Dan Hartman was he was the bass player in Edgar Winter's group. He
Oh,
wrote
wow.
"Free Ride," "Come On and Take," you know.
I
Um,
saw Edgar
he,
Winter
he,
at the
he yeah,
Fillmore.
he
Yeah.
wrote and sang that. And he
Wow.
had a hit, "Instant Replay," and "I Can Dream About You."
Oh, yeah,
Right,
sure.
so that was Dan Hartman.
Mhm.
So him and Charlie Midnight, they wrote the song "Living in America," and um, he had a hit with it. And then Dan, I first moved to New York in October of '86. In November, Dan Hartman called me to do a record. I did my first record date within a month of living in New York City. Um, and I was already playing in Charlie Midnight's band. I guess that's how Dan met me. He came to a rehearsal.
I was booking you very soon after that. I didn't realize
Yeah.
you had just can't come to New York. Wow.
No, you were booking me in like '88, I think.
Earlier.
Or 87 maybe,
Yeah,
87.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so I did that, Dan and Charlie, and then why was I telling you this? Because this segues. Oh, so Dan Hartman gave my number to the Prince camp, and I got a call one day. It was like, "Hi, Steve. This is Winnie Martin was her name. I worked for Prince's management company, and I want to talk to you about auditioning for Jill Jones, she was in the Revolution. She's the girl who sang, "I was dreaming when I wrote this, forgive me if it goes astray." She sings the first
Great
line of
song.
that song. She was the waitress in Purple Rain.
Mm-hmm.
She's a great artist, um, great singer, uh, front person, actor, whatever. And I ended up getting the audition. I mean, it was cattle call auditions at Top Cat Studios. Remember that joint on
Sure.
28th Street?
Uh-huh.
So it was like every musician in town was there, and I went in there. It was like a line of guitar players and, you know,
Wow.
drummers, and I remember I was really into creative visualization, and,
Ah,
and and I went home and I meditated on that album cover. I was looking at the Jill Jones album cover, and I'm going, I see myself playing with her. I see myself,
I love this.
because the plan was we were going to open for Prince on his Sign of the Times tour. And so I was meditating on this album cover, and you know, I thought I did a really good. I handed in an audition tape, and then I went and played with them. And just as I was staring at this album cover, the phone rang, and it was like, "Steve, you got the gig." And
Oh,
so
I so believe in
yeah,
all of that.
yeah. So and
Did you open for Prince?
no, so then what happened was there'd be we'd have these rehearsals. We'd rehearse 5 days a week, 8 hours a day at
Wow.
Top Cat, and eventually the band kind of changed. Two of the guys left, Mark Alexander and oh, what was the drummer's name? Oh, his name escapes me. Great drummer, real dark-skinned Cuban guy, Leslie Ming. Um, they went to Little Steven's band, Disciples of Soul. And so then we got new guys, and we got a new keyboard player. We got a new, because Mark was the musical director. Uh, so we got a new keyboard player, a new drummer, and then they made me musical director. So then I became the guitar player and musical director. And you know who our background singer was? Angie Stone. You know Angie Stone?
No.
Huge neo soul R&B star for the
No, I
last
don't.
15 years now. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, she was the background singer in Jill Jones. She's huge. I mean, she's massive and awesome.
Fantastic.
So that was a great gig. But what would happen would be they would film the rehearsals every day and then like send them to Prince,
Yeah.
which is weird now that I think about it because he was on tour in Europe. So I don't know if they were FedExing VHS tapes over to Prince in Europe. Sounds a little fishy, but they would come in the next day and go, okay, so Prince watched the tape and he said, girls, you got to do more of this, and guys, blah, 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 blah. And everybody was like, what you going to say about me? And then Jill would turn to me and go, he said the guitar player's cool. So I was like, all right, well, so I don't have to, worry about it.
Wow.
So, I had this whole big fantasy about, okay, we're going to open up for Prince. And then, I was a huge Prince fan.
Oh.
And I thought, eventually, I'll probably get to play in his band. Well.
Were you creatively visualizing this?
Well, that didn't work too well if I did. Because what happened was his album that had come out at that time, Sign of the Times, which is my favorite Prince album, wasn't doing well here in the States. And so he canceled his American tour that we were supposed to be on. And he just released that movie, Sign of the Times, which is like a concert film, like an arty concert film. He released that over here and just ended up doing the tour of Europe. And that was it. We rehearsed 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, played 2 gigs with the band Level 42. Remember them?
No.
There was something about you. Funky band from England. Anyway, we played 2 gigs with them, and then the band broke up. And that was it.
Did all that rehearsal.
All that work. Yeah, for 2
gigs.
gigs. Yeah, 2 gigs.
Wow.
And so from there, I played with Glenn Burtnick for a minute, and then I made his video Follow You, which is my first time on MTV. That was '87. And then shortly after, we started the Hudson River Rats, the blues band. And we had all those people come down to Under Acme, and that's where I met, Willy DeVille for the first time, David Johansen, Cyndi Lauper, Carole King, Phoebe would come down all the time, and all the studio cats, Will Lee and Lou Marini from the Blues Brothers. And so I started meeting studio people, and it was kind of one of my side goals was to my main goal moving to New York was I want to start a band, get a deal, and be the singer, songwriter, guitar player that I always wanted to be, playing my own music.
Right.
But in the meantime, I was meeting all these studio people, and they started calling me for sessions, and we did with the blues band as the backing unit. We played with James Cotton, legendary blues harp player.
Wow. Yes.
On a session on a commercial actually for Skippy Peanut Butter, and then we ended up playing with Etta James with that band, and we ended up playing with Chuck Berry. And
okay, I know you're saving the story for your book, but you have to tell the truncated version because it's a classic story. You got to tell the story. Come on, you got to.
I'll tell a little bit of it.
Okay.
So, yeah. So by the way, how long is this interview going to be? Because I don't want to bore people.
You're not going to bore people, but if you get hungry, we'll wrap when you need to wrap.
So yeah, this was the time of my the Hudson River Rats blues band, and we were all, which was basically the Blood, Sweat and Tears band. It was Tom DeFaria, who you remember from the Rookies when we used to play. We were called the Rookies. That's, by the way, we had that name, the Rookies, because every time somebody would we were all just kids out of school, when we were with Blood, Sweat and Tears. So every time somebody would do something fucked up, David Clayton Thomas would go, "You rookies," So we were also remembering that TV show from the '70s. It was a cop show called The Rookies. Right?
Yes, I remember.
But so we call ourselves the Rookies. But that was the band, Blood, Sweat and Tears, house. We were like the house band for this. We call ourselves the Hudson River Rats. With we just added Rob Paparosi on harp, and we had a band. It was Glenn McClellan, the keyboard player, my brother, myself, Tom DeFaria, and we backed all those singers up that I mentioned at the Under Acme.
I was
Acme
there
Bar and
many
Grill.
times.
Yeah,
That was simultaneous when you were doing the Rock and Roll Cafe. It was the same time.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was '88, and then Keith Brewer actually came down. Jeff Kent was running the jam. He was a friend of mine who's now has passed on. Thank you, Jeff, for everything.
AG comes on often.
Oh yeah, AG. Yeah, I love Andy. Yeah, I owe a lot to Jeff. He really hooked me up a lot of stuff. In fact, he said that to me, you got to meet this guy Keith Brewer. You know, he's a great songwriter like you. You guys would really vibe on the same stuff. You know, Beatles and Stones and Tom Petty and all that kind of stuff. So we got together and started writing, and within the first 2 weeks of knowing each other, we had about half the first Company of Wolves album without even knowing that it was going to be a band or anything. He was like, I know a drummer, Frankie LaRocca. I said, I know a bass player, my brother. And
how did you guys get that name? How did you get Company of Wolves?
It was actually the name of one of the songs that Keith and Jeff had written, which we never really recorded for real. Like we did a live recording of it, live at Atlantic Studios, but it was not quite right for us stylistically, but it was a bit too heavy. Yeah, so within a week we had written like 3 songs, and then the next week we wrote 3 more. The first song we ever wrote was The Distance, which was our second single. And yeah, so everything kind of came out of that scene, that Acme thing. And people would come down and line up to play. But you had to be invited. You couldn't just show up with an axe and go, hey man, I'm here to play. It's like, no, you had to be invited. You had to come and rehearse with the band. It was very everyone was screened. There was not going to be any, because people were paying good money to come in there.
Right.
It was like whatever, $10. I don't remember how much it was, but they didn't want to see any jokers, fooling around like they weren't playing the blues. We had rules. You had to play a blues, had to be at least a 12-bar blues or a gospel sort of thing. There was no rock songs, so that it turned out to be really a good, I like to put limits on myself. Like when I was going to school, all I listened to was jazz from the 40s, 50s, and maybe 1960 or early 60s. It was like Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Thelonious Monk, that era of stuff only. Right. There was no Chick Corea, there was no Mahavishnu, none of that like electric stuff. It was all acoustic jazz. So I liked putting those kind of blinders on and just getting into that thing for a while. And it was the same thing with the blues when we did the blues band. Because I grew up playing Chuck Berry and Stones, and Stones always did Muddy Waters songs, and I just knew those records, and so it was in me naturally anyway. So to limit myself to just that for a while was also a good thing. But eventually that band got hired to be Chuck Berry's, not the Company Wolves, but the Riverettes.
Right.
Got hired to be Chuck Berry's band at the Meadowlands. He was playing at the Trackside Park, and the promoter, who I knew, he used to work with my mom. My mom would sing there at the track, and jazz gigs and stuff in between the races. And he called. He said, "You guys want to be Chuck Berry's band?" I said, "Hell yeah!" And so I said, use our band, Hudson River Rats. We're fully formed unit.
And that's what Chuck Berry did, right? Wherever he went, he used.
Yeah, he would he would hire a pickup band, they call it.
Right.
We wouldn't necessarily hire a set band. Maybe the promoter would suggest, this bass player, this, pull
Right.
different guys together. But in this case, the promoter called me and said, put the band together. So I put the band together. It was not even a job. It was just like, get my band, boom. And we were all
Right.
there. And so the promoter picks up Chuck from the airport. He goes, Chuck says, who's my band tonight? The promoter goes, oh, Chuck, I got you a great band, man. It's the Conte brothers, Steve and John. John's bass player. Steve plays guitar. He goes, guitar? I don't use no other guitar player. And Frankie, the promoter, oh no, Chuck, don't worry. Steve's real good. He can lay back. And Chuck says, well, I'm gonna give him one song. If he ain't happening, I'm gonna throw him off the stage. So, and the promoter tells me this right before we go on, of course. So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna lay way back. And we had watched the Hail Hail Rock and Roll movie had come out recently, a couple years before, and we had been watching that and studying that movie. I mean, we all knew the songs anyway.
Did you guys rehearse separate from Chuck? Did you like rehearse?
No, I don't think so. We just knew the tunes.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. Maybe we did, but we knew that it was going to be, fly by the seat of the pants. He can change at any moment. He can pull out some tune we never heard, or not do a song that we rehearsed, or change the key.
Right.
So we just watch his foot, and that's what he told us in the dressing room. He goes, drummer, watch my foot. That's how we're going to end. That's how I'm going to show you how we're going to end the songs. He goes, bass player, if I make a move in my neck, that means that's what I want you to play. And he says, and listen to the lyrics. If it wasn't for the lyrics, we'd be playing the same song. I'm like, so, and I mean, Chuck's my hero. The first records I ever bought were Chuck Berry's Golden Decade. The first guitar solo I ever learned was Johnny Be Good. My first concert my dad took me to when I was 13 in Madison Square Garden. He took me to see Chuck Berry on like a revival. It was like the Shirelles and, it was all these 50s groups, and Chuck Berry was the headliner.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, like, waiting at the stage door for him, and he came out afterwards, and we followed him down the street. How about an autograph, Chuck? My dad was saying, and Chuck's like, no autographs. But so here I am, fucking playing with Chuck Berry, and I'm like, I'm not getting thrown off the stage. I'm gonna lay way back. So first 3 songs, I'm like way in the background, and then he does a slow blues. He does when things go wrong with you, it hurts me too. So he does It Hurts Me Too, and ba-da-da-da, points to me, solo, gives me a solo. I'm like, well, I thought he was going to throw me off the stage. Now Chuck Berry's giving me a solo. All right, I play a solo. Towards the end of the solo, he's like, to the audience, he's like, can the man play? Give him another one. Go on, take another one. Gives me another solo. Like,
wow.
All right. I was worried I was going to get thrown off. Now Chuck Berry has given me 2 solos on the same song. Then we do a bunch more. We do Oh Carol. We do Memphis. We do like all his classics. I mean, I'm creaming, And same thing. Does another slow blues. I don't remember what it was. Gives me a solo.
Wow.
Okay. Can the man play? Take another one. Right. Then a couple songs later, he starts Johnny Be Good. Now, here I am. This is the moment. I'm playing the first song I ever learned the solo to with the man who wrote it,
the
legend who invented rock and roll guitar playing.
Jesus.
Much. And here he goes. He plays the first lick. He goes, and pop, his high E string pops right off his guitar, right? So I'm like, okay. He sort of stumbles through the intro, And
Oh.
all I'm thinking about is what happens in the middle. Because in the middle break, he goes, go, Johnny, be good. Let me get it in the right key. Go, go, Johnny, be good. He points to me. Take the middle solo. And I'm waiting my whole life for this moment.
Wow.
And I get to play Johnny Be Good solo with Chuck Berry.
Wow.
Then I have this on film, by the way, and everybody's like, "When are you gonna put it up on YouTube?" Someday. I'm not in a rush, but
that's amazing that you have it.
Yeah, I have it, and my smile is so wide it looks like my face is gonna crack in half. And after the song, Chuck brings his giant 335 Gibson guitar over to me and hands it to me. He goes, "Change my string." Now, I just happen to have strings, so I changed his string. He took my guitar. I had a Telecaster. He puts it on the strap. It's like a violin on him. It's like up here. And he spends like 10 minutes untuning the guitar because his hands are so giant that he pulls the strings, he bends the strings out of tune when he plays. But he knows how far out of tune he has to have the guitar tuned so that when he hits a chord, it's in tune. Right? So my guitar is perfectly in tune. He untunes it until it's in tune so he can grab it, right?
Wow.
So we play, I tune up his guitar, I get his guitar perfectly in tune. I come out and playing it, his guitar is way down at my knees because he's giant, So after the song, we switch back. He spends another 10 minutes untuning his guitar that I just tuned perfectly. And this is all on film too. It's amazing. And by the end of the night, we're thinking, Chuck is probably really loving this. I mean, we were playing this music the way it's supposed to be played. Like we had seen Chuck play with a lot of like bands that just hacked,
right?
Like hacker guys. They just barely, everybody can play a Chuck Berry song, but not everyone can play with the right feel. So we were psyched that we were playing this stuff with the real feel from the 50s records, like kind of the drums were half swinging while the guitars were playing straight. It was kind of like where rock and roll and R&B and jazz sort of met, and we loved that feel. And so we're thinking, man, Chuck he's smiling. Look at him, and he's saying something to us. And we're like, he's probably trying to tell us how good we sound, right? This is what we're thinking. And we're saying, what is he saying? We're trying to read his lips. He's going, what? And then we finally figure out what he's saying. He's going, 5 more minutes, and I'm out of here. So, and that's kind of how it ended.
And
there'll be more details in the book.
And okay, and no conversation with Chuck after.
I mean, it was not after. No, he was with a very buxom blonde at the side of the stage, and then linked arms and out into the parking lot to his Cadillac. And I really regretted, I didn't bring an album. The first album I ever bought, I should have had Chuck sign it. But no, that was it. We had the conversation with him at the beginning, where he told us to, watch his foot and all that. And once we got up on stage, there was no more words were said between us.
It's a great story. It's a great. Okay, so I know also that you were Paul Simon stand-in for a long time. How did you get that gig?
Yeah, it was a 10-year gig, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. Mark Stewart, Paul's guitar player, who also plays every stringed instrument, cello and banjo and mandolin and horns and all kinds of stuff. Super talented guy. He had played on a record that my brother and I had done called Linoleum, our band Crown Jewels.
Mhm.
And that was kind of the softer side of my voice on that record. And Mark knew that Paul liked to have like a backup singer in case he didn't want to sing during rehearsals. So they had been flying a guy in from Detroit or somewhere, putting him up in a hotel, and I guess they wanted to do something more economical and get a guy from New York who could just come from home. And so Mark suggested me, and I talked to Paul's brother Eddie Simon on the phone and struck a deal with him. And next thing I know, I'm at the rehearsal being Paul. They had gotten me a stack, like the entire Paul Simon songbook, every CD, every book of sheet music, lyrics, and it was a real stickler for things. Sometimes if I would sing one little word out of place, that's there was no interpreting. It had to be just so, which was fine. I'm always up for the challenge, and Paul is a genius, man. He knows everything that's going on. He's got a 15-piece band, and he can hear every instrument. He'll get to the end of the song and he'll go, trumpet, you were playing a B flat on bar 8 of the bridge. It's supposed to be D natural, some crazy stuff like that. So
did you ever sing with him because you were being him? Did you ever get to sing with
yes,
him?
when I did Simon, so from Paul's solo, the first thing I did with him was You're the One, his solo album that came out in 2000.
Mhm.
And after that, Simon and Garfunkel got back together 2003 to do that tour with the Everly Brothers opening. And
I saw them the first time they got back together in Central Park. Oh my God, that's a whole nother.
Yeah,
God.
that was the early 80s, right? So on the days that Art wouldn't show up, we would do Scarborough Fair or Sound of Silence, and it would be Simon and Conte. I'd be singing Art's part, and then some days Paul wouldn't show up and Art would be there, and it would be Conte and Garfunkel. Yeah.
Okay, I know I've asked you this before, but come on. I mean, Garfunkel sang that really high. You sing that really high stuff?
Well, not like as clear as a bell, but
Wow.
yeah, it was, like I said, it was a challenge. I rose to the challenge,
Was it as
I
thrilling
like
as it
challenges,
sounds- Was it as thrilling as it sounds like it would be to be
Yeah,
Simon and Conte?
yeah, it was. It was absolutely.
Wow. Was any of that stuff recorded?
Maybe.
Ah, I like it.
It's certainly not for mass consumption. There might be a rehearsal tape or something out there somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I never sang live with them on stage, obviously, because
Right.
they were the guys.
Yeah.
I was merely, if Paul had to go run and do an interview, or sometimes he just wanted to rest his voice. Sometimes he wanted to kind of step back and hear the full arrangement with a vocal without him singing it. Because when you're singing, you're focusing on the lyrics and the melody and where to come in and all that. And you can't really focus on what the band's doing. So he would listen to me sing it. So hence, the reason why I had to really sing it just like him.
Right.
So that he would, know how his melody is interacting with the band. And yeah, so that was that's the reason for him having a stunt vocalist.
So cool. All right, so Postell is saying, tell Vicki about playing with Tiny Tim.
Postell. Hi, Stevie. Yeah, so that was a fun gig. he railroaded me into being Tiny Tim's musical director once. We played out at Stephen Talkhouse in Amagansett in the Hamptons. And I would play some gigs with Steve, and Bobby Chenard on drums. I mean, it was it's a great band. And Steve's a real talented guy, of course. But for some reason, he did not want to be Tiny Tim's musical director that night. But we didn't even know before. Well, he might have known, but he sprung this on me when we got there. He was like, "Oh, by the way, Tiny Tim's coming up tonight." I thought we were just going to play a bar gig, right? And Steve, you can correct me if I'm telling any of this wrong, but this is my memory of it anyway. So we play our set, or maybe we had two sets, right? And during the break, we're all upstairs, and here comes Tiny Tim, and totally bizarre. He's like got baby powder all over his face. It smells like baby powder. It was just really creepy, you know. And he's wearing this weird suit. He was wearing a white suit that had like cartoon buildings all over it, right? Matching pants and jacket with a checkered flannel underneath as the shirt and suspenders. So
wow.
He's like, okay, so I'm gonna say, here's another song from the Fabulous 40s, you know, in the way that he does. And we rehearsed all these little tunes backstage. We didn't do Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which I had hoped, because I remember that from the radio when I was a kid.
You didn't?
No, we didn't do it. I don't know what we did. We did like, you know, because I used to play with my mom, I knew all these songs. They were all jazz standards, you know, they were like Hoagie Carmichael or whatever, or you know, I don't know, songs maybe Sinatra did at one point, or big band stuff, or you know, the 40s stuff. But I knew the songs. It was not like he threw anything at me that I didn't know, which was weird, because I would figure.
But how about the rest of it? Postell is saying that he thinks that Tiny's band didn't show up, and that's why you guys.
Oh, is that why? Okay, so it was Michael Jude on bass, and I don't remember who was on drums. John Michelle, maybe, or maybe. Maybe it was Bobby Chenard. I don't think it was Bobby though. And I remember at one point, so we're doing the Tiny Tim set. It was like 3 or 4 tunes, right? A little mini set. And at one point, he takes off that matching suit jacket, and he's just got this flannel that's like billowing out because it's tucked into the pants, you know, with the suspenders. And it was just like totally bizarre looking. And he lays down on the floor in mid-song and starts doing the worm, you know, like all over the floor while he's singing. I'm like, somebody take a fucking movie of this. This is
Dan Hickey was the drummer you sang, by the way.
What's that?
Dan Hickey was the drummer.
Oh, Hickey was the drummer. Oh God, is Hickey tuned in on this, or is
he might be? He's usually around. I don't know if maybe he'll talk.
Yeah, so that's my memory of it, and yeah, it was just bizarre world, you know. But I love Postell's new band, The Immediate Family.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Steve was
Cooch,
last one. Yeah, they're
Cooch and Waddy and Lee and
Russ. Yeah, they're fabulous. They're fabulous. So, Steve, it seems to me that just as with Postell, and Lee, and for all of them, it's kind of their dream to have their own band, like their Beatles, their stuff, like their band. That's the band, and it's them, right? They're not backing up James or somebody else. It's their thing. And it seems to me that you've backed up and a lot of people and had, you know, who have a lot of success. But as far as I'm concerned, the best music you've ever made is your own. Oh, and the fact that you have all these coolest songs in the world, I think, is proof of it, that you're songwriting and you're singing, you're playing. And it seems, I think the best is yet to come for you. I believe that.
Well, I would like to think so too. And if not, somebody shoot me. Because, you know, you like to think that, I mean, I really think this latest record of mine, if y'all have heard out there in Facebook land or wherever we're being broadcast right now, have heard Recovery Doll, my new single on Wicked Cool Records. That's great. It's a 1/11th of my new album, which is coming in the fall. There's a full length album coming on Wicked Cool Records, 11 songs.
You have the next single picked out? Is it Rock? Is it Rock and Rye Queen?
No, that's just a B-side. That's a demo of Rock and Rye Queen was on my 2014 Steve Conte NYC album. And this is that's the original demo of it. That's on the B-side of the vinyl. Hold on. I just happen to have right here in my hot little hand. You see?
I love it. And wait, the disc itself is like
it's glow in the dark green. I can.
It's fantastic.
You see?
Yeah, it's great.
That's the B-side, Rock and Rye Queen.
I see it.
A-side. And I'm not going to rip this open because someone's ordering this. But yeah, if people want the a signed copy, I send them out, sign them and send them out from home. Otherwise, and you can write me at info@stevecontenyc.com and find out.
I'll put that in the liner notes.
Yeah, how much, depending on how many copies you want and where it's being shipped to. Prices vary, so I can't really. I mean, basically, the record is $15 signed US dollars. But then depending on how many copies and the weight and the shipping and where it's going in the world, you know. So people have to write me at info@stevecontenyc. Otherwise, they can buy the single right from Wicked Cool Records on Bandcamp or Wicked Cool Records website, but it won't be signed by me. And they can also buy the digital download there at Bandcamp or on the Orchard or any of those sites, iTunes. But I'm excited about the full length. Where I was going with that is, you know, you always like to think that, you know, you're making a really good record. And, you know, I knew I was making a good record with this one that's coming, which I can't tell you the title yet. But my wife, and she's not very, she's not a huge like rocker, you know. She loves world music and, you know, French music and African music.
How did you guys meet?
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay.
She volunteered, Steve, this is your best record ever. And she used to love Linoleum. That was her favorite record of mine, Crown Jewels Linoleum.
Right.
And so if my wife says this is my best record, I'll take it. Because she's a real layman, you know, like she doesn't know from, you know, musicianship or, you know, she just knows when she gets a feeling, you know, when it hits her with a feeling, or when a melody is catchy and sticks in her head, or, you know, when it makes her feel something or it's emotional, or, you know. So you don't have to shoot me yet.
Good. Is there another song from the new album that you can play to take us out?
No, okay. I can't, because the next single will come in August, and then there's another one in the fall, and then there's another one in the fall, and then yeah, the full length comes after that. But Stephen Van Zandt picked all the singles,
wow.
Which is you know, it's nice. He handpicks, you know, everyone for his label, for his radio show. So, you know, I'm honored to be on that short list of people who he digs, you know.
What's the video that you shot today? What was that for?
That's for a different song.
Okay.
It's not for Recovery. I actually have a video for Recovery Doll that's finished, but I'm saving that until later.
Okay.
But by the fall, I will have 3 videos done, possibly, maybe more. But I want to try and do as many videos as I can. I met my wife at a Willy DeVille show. I was touring with Willy DeVille in Holland, in 2003, and she happened to come to the show, and boom.
Rest is history.
Yeah.
Well,
She had never dated a musician in her life, and so that was the hook for me. It was like, really? You never dated a musician? Come on.
well, I think you celebrated 16 years.
16 years marriage.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
that's
Thank you.
fantastic. Steve, it's always will you play one more for us? I don't care what it is. I have a couple favorites. Gimme Rockaway is one of my favorites. I don't know if you can just whip that one out, but boy, I'd love to hear it.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see. Wow. I don't know if I can play the solo. I haven't played in a long time. All right, I'll have to just play a different solo. So don't expect this to sound like the record. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Tough in the life, back on the beach again, just a sunny day. A nightclub tent, rocking my Leatherman, New York to LA. The surf is up, pounding the pavement tonight, we're gonna play. Ooh, gimme Rockaway. Yeah. East Coast home, where I was born again. God bless rock and roll. Should some come, bounce up and down with that little bit of soul. I feel fine, just to the nines, and my hair all set to spray. Ooh, gimme Rockaway. Stop before you hit Long Island. Yeah, cruising past Sheepshead Bay. Always wanted to say Sheepshead Bay in a song. Move over when you hear the siren, and then we pray. Ooh, gimme Rockaway. Ooh, gimme Rockaway. Ooh, gimme Rockaway. Short version.
That is such a kick-ass song. Oh my God. It's just a great song. It's a great song. I love your music. I love you. Thank you for doing this. It was great to see you again. Good luck with everything you're doing with your kids. I look forward to seeing your son out there. How fun is that? And stay safe, stay happy. And okay, give us one more, how people can find the music. I'm going to put it in the liner notes too.
Okay. So SteveConteNYC.com is my website. You can find me on Facebook, Steve Conte NYC on Facebook. On Twitter, it's either Steve Conte NYC or Steve Conte. I can't remember which. Instagram, Facebook, all the usual suspects. Tumblr. What else? Did I miss something? I don't know. And if you want that single signed, info at Steve Conte NYC is
Except
mine.
I read something today that today was the last day you're going to do it.
Oh, you know what? Yes. Well, thank you for
Hello.
reminding me. Hello. Thank you for telling me my business.
Yes.
That's right, because I'm getting ready to take a little breather for the summer. I just sold out about half of the records that I have. It's a limited edition. There were only 500 copies of the single printed. And Wicked Cool has half of them, the label, and they sent me half. And I've sold about half of mine. So when I come back from the summer, I'll sell the other half, or I'll sell them at gigs. So
so people can't get an autograph anymore. They're done.
Well, right now, just for the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then I'll resume after I take a little summer holiday.
All right. Well, enjoy your holiday. Well deserved. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And yes, another time. We'll do it again. Take care, Steve. Thanks.
Okay. Bye, baby.